You know, sometimes life plays tricks on us, doesn't it? How many times have you felt frustrated, discouraged, wanting to throw everything away? Well, who hasn't? I bet you have too. But today I want to talk to you about something very important. Something that could completely change the way you see the challenges in your life. Let's talk about not letting frustration stop you from continuing. Think with me. How many dreams have fallen by the wayside because we gave up too soon? How many opportunities have we missed because we thought we couldn't do it? That's what we're going to reflect on together in the next few minutes. Do you know why? Because your journey is unique, your story is valuable, and you have incredible potential within you. And I don't want anything, absolutely anything, to stop you from achieving everything you dream of and deserve. So sit back in your chair, take a deep breath, and let's dive into this conversation. I promise that by the end, you'll look at your frustrations in a totally different way. Are you ready? Then let's go, because your story of overcoming begins now. And you know, my friend, before we go any deeper into this journey, we need to understand what this frustration really is. Have you ever stopped to think about it? Frustration, you see, is like a stone in your shoe. You know, when you're walking along, everything's fine, and suddenly you feel something nagging at you? That's exactly what it's like. It appears when things don't go as planned, when our expectations are shattered. But look how interesting it is. Frustration isn't necessarily a bad thing. Are you surprised? It's a signal, an alert from our heart and mind saying, hey, pay attention here. Something isn't working as it should. The problem is when we let this frustration take over. It's as if that pebble in your shoe has become a mountain in your path. And that's when things start to get complicated. Frustration can paralyze us, make us doubt ourselves. Have you ever found yourself thinking, oh, it's not going to work, why try? Well, that's the negative power of frustration at work in our lives. But what if I told you that we could use that same frustration as fuel? That's right. Just as fire, which can destroy, can also warm and illuminate, frustration can be our ally on the journey of growth. And do you know why? Because every frustration carries with it a lesson, a learning opportunity. And that's what we're going to talk about now. I'm going to tell you a story that will make you see frustration through different eyes. Have you ever heard of a man called Job? Well, Job is an incredible character from the Bible who has a lot to teach us about dealing with frustration. Just imagine, this man had it all. He was rich, respected, had a large family, and was known for his unshakable faith. But then, in the blink of an eye, everything changed. Job lost his wealth, his children died, and he was stricken with a terrible disease that covered his body in sores. Can you imagine a greater frustration than that? Do you know what's most impressive? Even in the face of all this, Job didn't give up. He questioned, he suffered, he even complained to God, and that's okay, we're human after all. But at no point did he lose his faith or give up on life. Job's friends even tried to convince him that he must have done something wrong to deserve it. But Job stood firm. He knew that we don't always understand the ways of life, but that we have to keep going. And do you know what happened in the end? Job not only got back everything he had lost, he got back twice as much. But most importantly, he came out of this experience stronger, wiser. What a powerful lesson. When frustration knocks on your door, and it will, you can be sure, remember Job. Remember that sometimes life takes everything from us, but if we maintain our integrity, our faith, our perseverance, we can not only recover what we have lost, but gain much more. Job could have given in to bitterness, he could have given up. But he chose to continue, he chose to trust. And that's the choice we have to make every day. But I know, sometimes it seems too hard, doesn't it? We feel as if we're sowing in arid soil without seeing any results. And speaking of sowing, this reminds me of another incredible story that Jesus told. Do you know the parable of the sower? This parable of the sower is simply fantastic. Jesus told of a farmer who went out to sow his land. As he was scattering the seeds, some fell by the wayside and were eaten by the birds. Others fell on stony ground, sprouted quickly, but soon dried up because they had no root. Some fell among thorns and were suffocated. But some fell on good soil and bore abundant fruit. Do you know what this has to do with us? Everything. Our hopes, our dreams, our efforts are like those seeds. Sometimes we sow and nothing seems to happen. It's frustrating, isn't it? We try so hard and see no results. But look what the sower did. He didn't give up. He kept sowing even though he didn't know where the seeds would fall. And that's exactly what we need to do in the face of our frustrations. Because you see, we don't always know what ground we're sowing in. Sometimes what seems like a failure today can be the start of something incredible tomorrow. The seed you planted and think hasn't come to fruition may just be waiting for the right moment to sprout. What's more, just as the sower couldn't control where the seeds fell, we can't control everything in life. But you know what we do control? Our persistence. Our willingness to keep trying, to keep sowing. The next time you feel frustrated, remember the sower. Keep sowing your seeds. Keep chasing your dreams. Because you never know which seed will fall on fertile soil and bear fruit beyond your imagination. But I know it's easier said than done, isn't it? That's why I want to share with you some practical strategies for dealing with frustration. These are things you can start applying in your life today. Want to know what they are? Well, let's go. These strategies are like tools in a box. You can use them whenever frustration knocks on your door. First, take a deep breath. Sounds simple, right? But it's powerful. When frustration hits, our bodies tense up and our minds become agitated. So stop for a moment. Take a deep breath, count to 10. This helps calm your mind and body. Secondly, change your perspective. Try to look at the situation from a different angle. If something has gone wrong, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Sometimes what seems like a failure is actually a valuable lesson. Third, set smaller goals. You know when you want to conquer the world all at once? Well, that can be frustrating. So divide your goals into smaller parts. Celebrate each small victory. It's like climbing a ladder, one rung at a time. Fourth, practice gratitude. Even in difficult times, try to find something to be grateful for. This helps maintain a positive attitude and prevents frustration from taking over. Fifth, don't be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes we think we have to carry the world on our backs alone. But that's not true. Talking to someone you trust can bring new perspectives and ease the burden of frustration. And last but not least, take care of yourself. Do things that you enjoy that relax you. It could be going for a walk, listening to music, or reading a good book. When we take care of ourselves, we become stronger to face our challenges. These strategies may seem simple, but they are very powerful. And the best thing, the more you practice, the easier it becomes to deal with frustration. And speaking of practicing, let me tell you an incredible story of someone who used these strategies in real life and managed to overcome huge frustrations. It's a story that will really inspire you. Want to hear it? Let me tell you about Maria. Maria was a young woman full of dreams. She wanted to be the first in her family to graduate from university. She studied, tried hard, took the entrance exam, and didn't pass. Once, twice, 3 times. Can you imagine her frustration? Many people in her position would have given up. But do you know what Maria did? She took a deep breath and looked at the situation in a different way. Instead of thinking, I failed, she thought, what can I learn from this? Maria realized that she needed to change her study strategy. She divided her goal into smaller parts. Instead of thinking, I need to pass the entrance exam, she started thinking, today I'm going to understand this math chapter. On difficult days when she felt like giving up, she practiced gratitude. She was grateful for the opportunity to try again, for her supportive family, for the teachers who helped her. And you know what? Maria didn't try to do everything on her own. She sought help, formed a study group, talked to people who had already been through it. Time passed and guess what? On her 4th attempt, Maria not only passed the entrance exam, she came top of the class. Today, she's a graduate, has a great job, and inspires other young people in her community. You see, frustration could have been the end of Maria's story. But she chose to use that frustration as fuel, as motivation to keep going. And you know what's even more incredible? You can do it too. You have this power within you. No matter what your frustration, you can turn it into motivation to keep going. Something that made all the difference in Mary's story and Job's story, and that can make a difference in your story too. Do you want to know what it is? It's faith. I'm talking about believing in something greater than yourself, about having hope even when everything seems difficult. In Job's story, it was faith that kept him going. For Mary, it was faith in herself and her potential. And for you, what gives you strength when things get tough? But that's not all. Look how interesting it is. Both Job and Mary had people around them. Job had his friends who, even if they didn't always get it right, were there with him. Mary had her family, her fellow students. That's where the importance of community comes in. Do you know why? Because nobody wins alone. When frustration hits, having people who believe in you, who support you, makes all the difference. So cultivate your faith. Nurture that belief. In times of frustration, it will be your safe haven. What's more, take care of your relationships. Get close to people who inspire you, who make you want to be better. Be that kind of person for others too. Because when we come together, we become stronger. Remember those strategies we talked about earlier? Well, faith and community are like a turbo for them. They amplify the power of everything you do to overcome your frustrations. And you know what? You're not alone on this journey. There are many people out there going through the same struggles, facing similar frustrations. And all of us together can make each other stronger. So what do you think about taking the next step together? What do you say we turn our frustrations into fuel to achieve our dreams? That's right, my friend, we've reached the end of our conversation, but in reality, we're only at the beginning of a new journey. A journey of overcoming, of growth, of transformation. Look what we saw. We learned from Job that even in the worst situations we can maintain our integrity. We saw in the parable of the sower that we don't always know where our seeds will fall, but we must keep sowing. We learned practical strategies for dealing with frustration and were inspired by Mary's story. Now what? Now it's time to act. It's time to look at the frustrations in your life not as obstacles, but as opportunities. Opportunities to grow, to learn, to become a better version of yourself. Remember, frustration is not the end of the line. It's just a detour along the way. And sometimes these detours take us to incredible places we never imagined. So the next time frustration knocks on your door, take a deep breath. Remember everything we've talked about here. Use the strategies we've learned. Lean on your faith and your community. And most importantly, don't give up. Never, ever give up on your dreams. Because you are stronger than you think, more capable than you imagine. And the world needs your potential, your light. Now, I want to make you an invitation. If this message has touched your heart, if you feel it can make a difference in your life, how about sharing it with more people? Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and keep an eye on the final screen for more content that can help you on your journey. Remember, your story of overcoming is just beginning. And I can't wait to see the incredible chapters you write from now on. Thank you for being here with me today. Until next time, and remember, don't let frustration stop you from continuing. You're capable of incredible things.